And we're live. Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Kevin from the Thrifting Lounge, and this is Reseller Roundtable, episode number 4. I am joined by my. Oops! Oh crap! That was me.
All right. You got to start that over so I can get it right for the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Kevin from the Thrifting Lounge, and this is episode number 4 of the Reseller Roundtable with my co-host Alton and Scott. And Brian's not here this week. And this week we actually going to do something different. We're going to do an interview with somebody I've been wanting to talk to a long time with, and especially Alton, and I believe Alton and Scott, and a lot of new people who want to try to get into doing eBay and trying to figure out how to do title, keyword in, and auctions, which is really, I don't do much auctions, but Andy is a master at doing auctions and title keyword. And every now and then I'm always texting him, hey, can you check this out and tell me if I'm doing something wrong here? So without further ado, I'll let Andy take it away with, we want to know how you started, when you went full time, and exactly what your business model is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I started in 2003. I had a lot of guitar gear that I wasn't using, so I started selling it in auctions. And I had a lot of guitar tablature books that show you where to put your fingers to play, and I was auctioning them off, and they were selling for more than what I paid for them retail. And I thought, this is really, really cool. So I started finding more of them. It was kind of in Amazon's infancy, and I found a website that had all these different websites where you could buy books. So I just started buying them cheap and flipping them. And if you can find them, they still sell really, really, really well. So that's how I got started. Around 2006, I was selling coins, and through a consignment model, and taking like a 25 to 40% commission on them. And I was selling sometimes $25,000 worth of coins a month, and that kind of dried up. And around 2007, I got into selling clothes, and that's what I do now. The way I got into auctions, when eBay rolled Cassini out, everybody was bitching about sales drying up, and nobody was making any sales. And I had to have the money, so I just started doing auctions, and it just took off for me. And I've been doing it ever since. Was part-time until 2018. I was a Uber and Lyft driver. I got a ticket that disqualified me, and I really had no choice but to go full-time. And that was 2018. And I usually do, I don't know, between $3,000 and $5,000 a month gross on eBay. And this month was my best one. I got up either just below 6,000 or maybe even a little over and above it. But that's how I got started.
That's awesome. What do you think? Hold on, let me exit this. So what do you think kind of inspired the change in going to clothing from what you were doing? Because we all know, if you ever do eBay, I think that's why I think it makes us look like we are entrepreneurs, because when something eventually always does dry up, we move on to the next niche. So what made you change from going to doing the coins and the guitars to clothing?
I think right about that time was when YouTube started getting a little big, and I can't even remember which person it was, but they were like, go out and find Polo Ralph Lauren polo shirts. You'll get 25 bucks for them. It wasn't Steve. It was
no, really.
It wasn't Steve. It was somebody else. But I don't even think they're around anymore. But I bought all of Steve's courses.
Me too. I didn't have to buy them. I knew him personally, so he sent everything to me for free. And I used to love promoting his stuff because he kind of got me pushed me on to doing YouTube. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing YouTube in the first place and meet everybody. We have such a great community, especially back then. I think a lot better than nowadays. But it was so much fun back then. I know you used to be around watching all of our videos and hanging out in the chats and everything. So that's why I was like, man, it's so cool still seeing you around and crushing it.
Remember
man, I see.
I was just gonna say, you remember the old Sellers Helping Sellers Facebook group?
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you had what was the other one with Jason Smith and Brian Williams? Thrifting with the Boys. Yep, remember that one?
Yep, that one. And I'm trying to think. Do you remember Autumn?
Yeah,
she sold a lot of shoes.
Always comes and goes. Yep, Autumn was she was like maybe a year before I started doing stuff, and everybody would always talk about Autumn. And then back then she kind of quit, and then I get back into this a year ago, and now she's back around. So that's pretty cool.
Honestly, she was one of the people that she was running a lot of auctions, but she was selling shoes, and shoes aren't good for 99-cent auctions because there's so many different sizes and widths, and so you can't get the demand going. But she would just put it at, if I want to get $40 for it, I'll put it at $34.95, and if I get one bid, I'm happy. And that works good.
Yeah, that's a name.
I just
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that kind of put close to one of my questions that I had for Andy was talking about auctioning, and you're choosing an item for that auction. So what makes you decide between what classifies you as auctioning that item versus, say, listing it for buy it now?
If you go into the completed listings or the sold listings, you can choose auction only. That's kind of like right in the center, and then sort it. Hit the sort search bar, and the drop down will come down, and the very last one will say sort by most bids first, and then it'll sort by most bids to least bids. And if something's getting at least 10 bids or more, and it's selling in a profitable range where you can source it at the right price, you're pretty safe to do it as an auction. You just want to make sure that your keywords are right, and that you're using the right search suggestions to get the volume of people there you need to get the retail price. So that's how. And if not, then I put them up as fixed price.
Gotcha. Good deal.
Yeah, and that's one thing I actually always go to you about when you do that strategy where you put the most bids. And that's something I never even knew. That's probably because I never really did auctions much. But when you started showing me that, I was able to look when I go into stores. This is what I'd say about a year ago before it or maybe as I was starting to go full time in January, and you were helping me out with this stuff because I'm like, I need to move more product now that I'm full time. And you were telling me that was one of the biggest tips that I think one of the biggest tips you've definitely have given me. That in the keyword, in which I'd like you to explain how you do with your keywords and how you figure them out and what you do with the search bar.
Oh, are you talking about getting rid of like the negative search strings that I showed you with the parentheses?
That definitely helped me so much, because that's, if I'm looking to do golf clubs, right? Say, and I have an iron set and I want to single out single iron, I'll use that parenthesis minus single and then close parenthesis, and that'll take out all the single irons and just keep me the iron sets. That made such a world of a difference.
Yeah, so like Dumpster Diver Dad, I think the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago, you showed where you were just doing a very general search and then using the left
I think that was Brian, but yes.
Left-hand navigation. Was that Brian?
Yep.
I thought it might have been
Brian.
you. But you can start very general, and like let's use Levi's for example. If you sort them by most bids first, auction only, you're going to get all the Big E stuff and all of the older selvage type jeans. and you're not real likely to find them. So you can put -sign parentheses selvage and then close parentheses and then -sign parentheses big E and then close parentheses and then hit search again. And it'll take all those listings out and it'll narrow and refine your search. Sometimes I'll have 9 or 10 of those and it just keeps narrowing things down.
And that actually works on TerraPeak also. So if you go over to TerraPeak, it works the same way. Yep. Which I think TerraPeak's one of the most underrated tools to use. And I think Scott had the next question, right?
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you, in your business, how do you prepare your items and how do you source your items?
How I sort them and store them, or
sort them and store them, and then how do you source them?
Oh, most of my Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul. I do Plato's Closet quite a bit, and there is a little consignment shop here in Cincinnati called Snooty Fox, and I do them a lot. Snooty Fox is where I found all of those Tom Ford shirts, and it's kind of upscale.
And besides eBay, what tools do you use besides the eBay app and sourcing with the eBay app? So is there like TerraPeak? Do you use TerraPeak, or do you use any other tools besides that? Yeah,
I use TerraPeak, and when I put fixed price stuff up, I use a Chrome extension called Cross-Listed to move my eBay stuff over to Poshmark.
Oh,
but
okay. So
really the most. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, what was that extension again?
It's called Cross-Listed, all one word.
Okay.
It's like $9.99 a month, and you can cross post between eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Etsy. Yeah, and I just do Poshmark.
I use List Perfectly, and I absolutely love it. Me and Brian had a discussion last week on the show about List Perfectly. He doesn't like to use it. I love it. I mean, if it's getting me an extra 12 sales a month on Facebook and another 10 sales a month on Mercari, it's amazing. But again, I pay for the $60 a month one too, but 1 or 2 sales, it makes a difference on those. There's a question for you, Andy, from Val. She says, do you have a bins where you live?
I do, but I've gone a few times pre-COVID, and then once COVID hit, I just didn't go anymore. I mean, for a while, nothing was open anyway. But I do good when I go to the bins. But I wind up with so much stuff just from the regular thrift stores and the consignment shops. And honestly, I think I wind up with better stuff when I go to them. But I don't have anything against the bins. I just haven't really used them since COVID. But I find cool stuff when I go there. Find a lot of sport coats, Kevin, that they overprice them at our Goodwill, and then they they go to the bins.
We never get them in our bins. Never get them in our bins, man. But I was telling a secret. This is the biggest secret I can tell anybody. If I ever had a niche down to it, and Andy, you've known me for close to 10 years now. If I ever niche down, you know my number one niche. That's why you mentioned sport jackets and blazers, because I can pick them up at $5-6 a pop and minimal make 20 to $25 off them, upwards of over $100. And of course, I'm sure you remember a few years ago, my biggest blazer sale was $1,100 Brioni custom fit jacket. That was a fun sale, but that's what I'm trying to get Brian and Scott into. I'm like, hey guys, there's a little secret. If you guys want to get into clothes, don't touch any of the clothes. I'm going to send you over Rakin's book, the Blaze. Remember the Blaze and Profits?
Yep. That's how I got into selling sport coats and blazers. And
it's super simple. You just scroll through it and it just shows you the brands. And of course, I told them, anytime you go to a store, call me. Well, you look through every single one and I'll tell you which one to buy and which one not to buy. I'll buy off brands. I'll buy no brands. I'll look at the pattern. I'll look at the fabric. Blazers, sport coats, and suits. A lot of people have issues selling them. It's because they don't know the keywords. They don't know the fabric. They don't know much about them, and they're scared to ask more than what they're usually asking for. So that's why I was telling them, I'm like, man, if you want to sell clothing, you guys are the most underrated category in clothing is sport jackets, blazers, and suits. And that's a fact. I'm sure you know that, Andy.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And that Blazing Profits, I think I've probably made 1,000 times my investment. I think I paid $30 or $40 and over the years. And I do flat lays. I don't even have a mannequin, and I still, I still get.
I have the mannequin, but I was telling Alton, dude, you don't even need to have a mannequin. Same thing with you, Scott. You don't even need to have a mannequin. Throw it on the ground and use that. What is that one I showed you the day? Alton, Photo Room.
Photo Room.
It is. Have you used Photo Room yet, Andy?
I haven't. I've got a big table behind me. You can see my lights.
Yep.
I put a 40 by 60 piece of foam board, and I bought like a $10. It's a wood grain. You've seen my listings, how they got it. Looks like they're sitting on a piece of wood. It's a freaking table with a piece of contact paper over it.
Yeah. Well, I was watching, and I'm so glad I was watching it, because every now and then I watch Rockstar Flipper. I usually watch Rockstar Flipper to get the ins of what's going on with new stuff coming out with eBay and whatever heck they do with their stuff. And he mentioned, hey, this is an app that I use. It's called Photo Room. And I was like, oh man, it's probably one of those garbage like eBay has, takes the background out. But he did it. I was like, let me try it. So I tried it myself. I liked it so much, I bought the $9.99 a month subscription. Dude, I put my clothes on the floor and ask Alton. He did it with a Funko Pop, and literally in a matter of a second takes the whole background out. And you can do, if you get the $9.99 subscription, you get the multiples. So you can do a whole 10 or 8, how many pictures you have for a listing, and boom, it's done in a second. It's absolutely amazing, right, Alton?
Yep. So I tried the free version, so I found a way around it. So there's a way to get the Photo Room logo removed. You just have to crop it yourself. But outside of circumventing the Photo Room app, it is wonderful. Like, I took one of a fedora hat that we searched the other night, and it blew me away just how crisp and clean those edges were. So it was a great little tool. So if you're not using that, definitely be looking into that app for your eBay listings to get that white background.
Yeah, definitely. And then let's see what else.
The eBay thing, sometimes it just gets rid of my whole item.
It really does.
Yeah,
I don't know how to distinguish it.
It's garbage. The eBay one is garbage, man. I don't know how they have not bought in this company. This company is amazing. Whoever made this app should get a Nobel Peace Prize award or whatever award they get for technology, because I could not believe it, dude. Like, I could put a piece of clothing, and even if it kind of matches up with my wood grain, my hardwood floors, it still takes that background out perfectly. No little, like, you can't tell a difference. It just looks nice and sleek. And then I add a little bit of shadow, because you can add the shadow into the photo. And it's all it is. You click a button, shows a shadow. I like to be around 20 to 25% with the shadow, and it looks nice and beautiful.
Awesome.
And then
that's something I'll have to check out.
You should. Photo Room. I'll send you the name of it after. You'll love it, dude. You'll quit doing the thing on the your floor like that. It's so much better. So let's get. I do.
I'm perfect.
Let's go into the keyword. And again, can you explain to the viewers? Because when I first talked to you, I didn't understand it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this makes sense." When you start typing out what your title is going to be in the search bar.
Yep. So if you have the search suggestions turned on, as you type letters in, it's going to bring a drop-down menu down. And you kind of want to think the way the person that's searching is going to think. They aren't going to type their whole keyword in. They're going to type until they see what they want and click on it. So you want to make your titles so that they basically that the title is the search suggestion, and the order that the words are in is going to make a difference. And as they drop down, they're sorted by most popular to least popular. So I use it on my phone when I'm out sourcing, and if I find something and I can't pull it up as a keyword, I won't buy it because it's almost guaranteed that it's going to sit for a while before it sells. But a lot of people, like we were talking 2 or 3 weeks ago about Polo Ralph Lauren and people saying that it's saturated. It's probably 30 or 40% of what I sell is Polo Ralph Lauren.
Same here. I always don't believe it's saturated. It's saturated because you're not trying hard enough. You're not doing your keywords. Something you're doing that listings is just not adding up. I sell dress shirts. Those are bread and butter items for me. The dress shirts, the regular polos, and the sport jackets and blazers have been on fire for me for Ralph Lauren.
Is it picked back up for you? Is it because through COVID, I quit listing them just because.
Oh,
it's like
it's because COVID. Now, dude, I would say back September last year. No, I would say more towards January this year. Started selling the crap out of those blazers, men's dress shirts. As soon as people started getting unlocked from the lockdowns, stuff started flying off the shelves. Slacks. I'm selling a lot of men's slacks and pants. So really anything dressy right now, and in the last 6 months, I'm selling the heck out of.
And polo shirts, you guys sell polo shirts too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to lot them up. So like certain sizes, to lot them up, and usually 2, 3, you can get like $30, $35. But I still get the occasional, if they're vintage and they have a really cool pastel colors or colorful colors, I'll get $18 to $22 on. So it's
color block
all the
stuff
keywords
too.
we use. Color block, yeah, it's huge. Especially the hip hop community loves color block and the streetwear people. Do you want to pop up and show us on a screen share how to do how you start your keywords?
How do I do that using the
So
Logitech?
you know where the cam? Yeah. So you know how there was a cam mic thing down there?
Should have one for share.
Right there should
For
say
share?
share. Yep.
Share
You click the
screen.
share button. Yep.
Okay.
And then when you click the share screen, do the entire screen. So the first one that pops up, double click that.
Let's see. Entire screen. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
And
They sit
here
on
we
back
go.
when we're going to school.
And you just want me to just kind of type in.
Yeah. Yep. Start typing in
So
what and describe what you're doing for the listeners that aren't watching the video.
So I just started with A, and the most popular thing that starts with A is Apple Watch. The cool thing is it'll show you the categories. So a lot of times, this is in the same category, but Peter Millar is one of my favorite brands to sell. And if you type in Peter Millar, I'm going to get rid of these. That's things that I searched earlier. So it says men's clothing and golf equipment. This is that's an item where you would want to pay the extra quarter and put it in both categories.
Yep. Okay, I was going to ask that.
Okay.
Yep. If I can get it into two separate categories, I always pay the extra quarter because it's going to get more eyeballs, and especially if you're trying to do a 99-cent auction like I do, it's gonna make a huge difference. And I mean, you can learn what to source just by playing around. By playing around with the keywords. Two of my favorite keywords are men's thick stitch jeans. So any of those jeans like Rock Revival or the the buckle BKE jeans that have the real
True
thick stitching.
Religion. Yep.
Yep, True Religion. That's a money keyword for me that I use all the time, and it's the same women's thick stitch jeans. Oh, no, it's not. There it comes.
Yeah. So your
There
main
it
goal
is.
is you're trying to drive as much traffic. So you want to use the most popular keywords that you can find that you do throughout the search, just by typing it in to the search bar.
Yep.
It's kind of like the search
And if
bar
it-
is your best friend.
Yep, and if it brings up a category, it's always better because it means that it's really, really popular. Some things you'll type in and it won't have a category, and it doesn't mean that you can't sell it, but you could expect that it's probably going to take it a lot longer to sell because the search volume's a lot lower than the more popular things are.
Yep.
Levi's, if you put in L, Louis Vuitton comes up first, but
Of course.
Lululemon,
Lemon. Yep.
Levi's comes up. Cool thing with Levi's, if I've got smaller size Levi's men's jeans that are like 32 or under, I'll put them in both categories and put them in women's too, because women will wear the men's as the high waist, mom jean type jeans.
Yeah. Yeah. I always put, so every now and then I'll put, if I think a girl's going to be into it, I'll put mom in the title for mom jeans.
Yep.
Same thing with like boyfriend, stuff like that. You just gotta, because a lot of these people buying those jeans are women, especially the men's jeans, because they're super popular, especially the ones that are like tapered fit. They love the tapered fit. Perfect.
And then I listed a bunch of vintage Levi's today, and I put them in men's clothing. Like if you put in vintage Levi's, it's going to show you men's clothing, vintage clothing, shoes, and accessories. So you want to make sure you use both categories. Pay the extra quarter, and it'll pay you back when you sell your stuff.
Yeah. And do you promote your listings?
Yeah, I promote my fixed price ones, just at whatever it suggests as I'm listing it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if I look in my stats, I think like maybe 30% of 30 or 40% of what I sell fixed price is promoted. But
yeah, I've actually got gone up on my promotions lately, and I've noticed that when I do grow up my promotions, I tend to sell more items, which stinks because I used to do for like a year and a half, I was stuck at like 1.1 to 3.1, but now I'm having to go up to 6.1 to sometimes 7%, which is starting to get insane. And then I think
So I'm
I'll
trying to
had the
think
next
of-
question.
Oh, is it on me now? All right, let's
cool.
So I guess for me, one of the biggest things is, because you've been at this for quite a while now, so I figured I'd ask, what was your biggest fail in your business that you learned the most from? Like it could be a single item or a bad investment or anything like that.
I think probably the worst failure that I've had is that I don't plan enough. I don't really set goals. I don't really I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants, and I go out and source. I find things that
Hey, dude, that's
So,
resellers though,
but-
man.
Hey, I mean, that's
It's
great.
hustling.
it's
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do anything else. I get paid to shop. How freaking cool is that?
I know.
And to think I'm one of the people that used to hate shopping, and now I'm like trying to source stuff all the time, and it's like Who are you? Like, sometimes I don't recognize myself. So,
All right, and then
But yeah,
let's get the next question.
I think
Go
Val's
ahead.
got it right. He's a free-spirited reseller. I like that.
Yeah, some people are, man. Some people, like I said, it's being an entrepreneur. You run your business how you want to run it. Some people like me aren't great with goal setting, but my girlfriend's great at it. So I kind of like sit on the outside, like, oh, maybe I should try this out. I enjoy it. Hey, listen, I mean, she does 50% of our business. It's for her. So, and that's why I was telling you, Alton, if I can train her what to look for, then I can train anybody. She
That
is
still
the perfect
scares me. So
employee.
we're still working on it. So.
Of course.
So Andy, what's your goals, or what are you gonna do for Q4? Are you doing anything special, or are you just doing the same old thing to prepare for the Christmas season?
I'm pretty much the same year round. Like now I'm in the Facebook groups and people are saying they're dead or they're not selling anything. I stay steady pretty much the year round. And there's maybe 15 or 20 major brands or types of items that I sell, and I just recycle listings, and just keep doing it. This time of year, I shift more because probably 70% of what I sell is golf shirts and polo shirts, even in the wintertime. But once fall rolls around, I try to look for wool, try to look for cashmere, alpaca.
That's what's selling right now. I'm selling items that I've had up in my store for 2.5 years. That's why everyone's like, every now and then, like, I'll bring down items and I'll relist them, but I don't really touch the winter clothes because they come and go. It's all year round. I can sell them, and mainly right now, those are flying off the shelves. Those and sport jackets. I did a last 90 days. I think I told you all I sold 130 blazers and sport jackets and suits. So those have really helped my business a lot.
I got a pile of them I need to get up.
Yeah,
I've got a ton of them. I put a bunch of I put a bunch of Levi's up today that I sourced them, and I was going to sell them fixed price, and I had all kinds of other stuff that I could sell at auction that was going to make me quick money, and they sat. Some of them probably sat for a year or more, and I put most of them up today. I still got a few left to do, but some of them are auctions, and some of them are set up fixed price.
Yeah,
that's another flaw. I was going to say that's another mistake that I make is I've got so much stuff that I should have listed a year or two ago that I had never listed. And I'm working on scaling that down.
Since we've gone full time, we don't ever have a death pile. We got to at least list 20 items a day. So we do 20 items a day. And like right now, we're out of clothes. So we're going to have to be doing, I have some golf clubs, but I'm pretty sure because I want to go tomorrow, do some yard sales. I think I'm going to pick up some more parts for vacuums. Like we picked up 6 vacuums yesterday whole for $40. And so I think it was like, she said it was like $7 or $8 a piece or something like that, or $6 or $7 a piece. I forget. But what we do is we just part everything out. We break everything down. We clean it all and we part it. We got a Dyson ball vacuum, those expensive Dyson balls.
Yep.
We got that in a state sale 2 weeks ago for $10, and we've already made $100 off of 5 parts. It's insane. Vacuum parts sell really good. Doesn't care what vacuum you buy, just break it down. All the pieces sell. I learned that from the Gilmans, Andy. They turned me on.
So should I be pulling vacuums out of the garbage in my apartment complex every time I go out to take my garbage out? There's a freaking vacuum.
You can ask Ashley, man. She could show you what you need to do. You just break them down, wash everything, and then just sell it. And there's usually a listing up for that specific vacuum that will have a list of the parts. So all you got to do is just drop down. You'll see the list, and then you just work yourself from there. And then, as usual, like doing clothes, you do a few of them and you get used to them. Yeah, sell similar. It's super simple. We do that on coffee parts. We break everything down now. That's non-clothing because the parts are worth more. And you'd be surprised at what people need for a vacuum or a coffee maker. And that is a lot of listings. That's a lot of our 20-a-day listings. That's over several days and sometimes weeks. And that's only $10 each vacuum or less. If I can get it for $10 or less, I can make myself on average $120, $130 per vacuum parted out. So that's a no-brainer. And that's why I like to diversify myself, because when clothes aren't selling, I have other things that sell. You know what I mean? That's why I always tell. Some people say they niche down, which is fine. But as you and I know, Andy, there's a lot of weak months for clothing. There's a lot of down months for clothing. So that's how I stay busy. That's
because I think 90% of what I sell is clothes, and I'm steady the year round. I mean, but like I said, 70% of it is golf shirts. So if you just type in golf shirt and then sort by highest to lowest, and then look for the logos, because some of the logo, it doesn't really matter what the shirt is. Like if you find, of course, the Masters, Mirion, Kiowa, and Hawaii, you find them, and it doesn't even
tell the viewers. I know a lot about golf, right? But I did not know this until you told me this back in January about a couple of the things to look for on the on the back of the FootJoy golf shirts.
The Titleist patches.
Yeah, the Titleist, and then the NetJets and Marquee.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that NetJets one that
You told me about that stuff. I never knew about that until you told me.
I found if I see a logo that's not advertising that I don't recognize, I try to search it, and try to figure out what golf course it is, and I was like, I don't even know what NetJets is, and then I think it was a RLX Ralph Lauren Polo that I'd found, and
but they make them for other places,
$80 for it.
What I realized when I was watching golf one day, and it hit me, I'm like, damn, dude, like Andy's right. On the back of a lot of the shirts, a lot of these players are sponsored by NetJets and Marquee Jets. So and people collect them, or they keep them, they use them. But that's why I was looking at that one day. I'm like, I was watching a tournament, and I was like, man, a lot of these have the NetJets and Marquee. I'm like, man, that's probably the reason why Andy was making a lot of money selling those. But they're super hard to. I've never come in contact with the NetJets or Marquee.
Yep, I found the NetJets. If you find the FootJoy ones that have the Titleist patch on the arm, they're like $40 to $75. That's the PGA Tour issue shirts that a lot of the pros wear, and a lot of average golfers want. They want to keep up with the Joneses. That's the other cool thing, from selling golf clubs. Golfers will spend insane money on things
unlimited. Just like this one day. So I'm part of a Scotty Cameron Facebook group, and these guys are putting up custom made Scotty bags, tour issued Scotty bags, and people are like, I'll give you $10,000, I'll give you $12,000 for it, and I'm like, it's just a freaking golf bag. But people are obsessed with some of these brands. They'll pay a limited amount of money. People will pay over $10,000 for a Scotty Cameron putter. Never. And I have some good. I got a couple of stories. I'll throw out to you guys real quick. I was looking through Facebook one day, and I saw this guy was selling $10 a club. He had some great clubs. He lived about an hour and a half north of me in North Orlando, and he was $10 a club. I said, hey, can I come down and see them? He's like, sure. So he gave me the time, and I said, by the way, everything's $10. Like, yeah, everything's $10. So I think I told you about this, Scott. I was looking at a photo, and one of the photos was really bad quality photos because that's a lot of Facebook marketplace listings have bad photos. And I saw a putter, and there was a club that was in front of it. So all I could see was a SC, and then the end that said ON. And I'm like, oh crap, I think this is Scotty Cameron. I get there. First club I look for is that Scotty Cameron. Sure enough, it was a Scotty Cameron. It was a Newport edition. And I asked him, I said, how much? He says, it's $10. I'm like, sweet. And I ended up spending $180. I got 18 clubs, and I made about $1,000 off all those clubs. I sold the Scotty for $190 in a week. Paid $10 for it. And there is deals out there that you guys just got to constantly look at.
Absolutely.
I've been looking at guitars on Facebook Marketplace, and they try to cut the headstock out so that you don't know what brand it is. And I'm like, I played guitar for years, and I'm like, I ain't buying a freaking guitar if I don't see the name on the headstock. And like, y'all
it's
are
the same thing with golf
time.
clubs. The same exact things. I can look at. I've gotten really good at this. Whereas I'll go look at a listing, and with it from being far away, somebody taking a picture, I can tell what clubs they are, just by looking at the faces. Not even having to see the brand, just by the faces. And what I'll also do is I'll write to them, hey, listen, I can't see the brands and model of this. Please let me know what is the brand and model of this. And almost every time they're usually vintage pings, Ping I or Ping I 2s. And within those series of the Ping I and Ping I 2s, there's versions that are worth a lot of money that you just got to learn about, like the BQ, nickel plated, and there's a couple other things. But man, you can make a lot of money selling vintage golf clubs, let alone newer golf clubs. But the vintage golf clubs sell just as well, just as fast. Dope 419 asks, what are some golf brands and items you would stay away from? Probably, I don't know. I mean, fairway and green for polos. Those are kind of like a dime a dozen. They're kind of not that big of a brand.
Yeah, I don't do those.
I mean, Adidas is even starting to get really saturated. Like I'm almost, if it's over $3, I'm not touching an Adidas polo anymore.
I've never had luck with any of the Adidas stuff. I'm honestly, as far as 99-cent auctions, a lot of the Nike stuff isn't doing as well as what it used to.
No, they sit. You got to really use good keywords for the Nikes.
Yep. I'm trying to think. I didn't realize I walked past Bead Ready for I don't know how long, and I found a ton of them the other day, and really one had the Southern Pines logo on it.
Yep.
And I think I sold that one for like 50. There were a couple more that it was a bunch of Peter Millar, a bunch of Bead Ready, and then they all had a logo on them. And I don't know what, I find just as many polo shirts here in Cincinnati for golf as you find down in Florida, but
I know it's crazy.
I don't see the golf clubs, the high-end golf clubs. I don't find them at the thrifts, and I don't really.
We get so many golf courses down here; it's insane. It's nuts.
Yep,
it's sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes they go to the thrift store and there's really no polos. I'll walk out with some with no polos, and then there's some where I'll just find a bunch of them. But for the majority, it's either people have already picked them up because there's a lot of golf resellers around my area. They've either picked them up or they're just nobody's donating them. But I mean, when we do get them, they're really nice, like the patterns and stuff. And you actually taught me about the Under Armour heat gear polos. You sell the heck out of those with your auctions.
Yep. That's one of my main bread and butter items. The heathered ones that were the colors heathered,
the pattern.
They do. Yep. That's a keyword. If you go in and search Under Armour heather polo, that'll come up.
And you're selling some of these polos for more than a buy it now price. and sometimes double the buy it now price. Because I've seen your sales, and I'm like,
I found a Spyglass Hill. It was a Under Armour heather blue, or no, it was blue pinstripes, and it had the Spyglass Hill logo with the guy with the spyglass. And it sold for, I think it sold for $52. And if I looked at similar sold items, they were lucky to get 24 or 25. And a couple of golfers got I want to wear that, and they fought bidding war.
But then if you go to buy it now, you could just button it. It's so weird to see that.
It's psychology. People want what they think that they can't have. It's like pushing a cat. Try to pet a cat, it runs away from you. You don't want to pet it. It runs figure eights.
Exactly. And then what about you, Scott? You got another question for him?
I got the last one. I was wondering, since you've been reselling so long, what are your plans for 2022? Because you've been full time for 3 years. What's the next step for you?
The next step for me is going to be probably a membership site to kind of like teach people. Do you guys know Joy Williams or know of Joy Williams? She's friends with Thrifting the Tiki guy. I can't think of his name. Jason T. Smith.
Jason Smith, yeah.
Yeah, Joy's really good friends with him, and she had a Facebook group called Jeans with Joy, and it was $25 a month, and I think she had 150 people in it. It went up and down, but I learned so much from her about jeans. Do you guys look for selvage? Do you know what selvage is? The red and white edges. I sell a bunch of selvage when I can find it. You'll find Gap. Cult of Individuality is a great little like niche brand. If you search Cult of Individuality, there's probably only 500 or 600 listings up at any given time, so you can rank pretty easy for it. Mm-hmm. And every time I find them, it's like pulling $50 bills off the rack. Oh, wow. And usually I find them at Plato's Closet. So I'm paying, I might pay 15 or 20 for them, but they don't last a week once I get them listed. So, it's like. But
you're also, do you go to the Plato Closet when they do the grab bags? When you get a bag and you fill it up?
I haven't, but I would like to. I mean, I'll spend up to like $25 for Rock Revival because I can have people fight over them in auctions, and they'll go $50, $60, $70 or more.
Dang.
Yeah. See, that's why I wanted to get you on, because the brands that do well at auctions, and then the brands that you'll just do buy it nows. So what would you say the percentage is of your store buy it now versus auctions every week?
It's probably 70-30. I never have more than 200 items listed at any given time, because 70% of what I source, I know 7 to 10 days down the road, I'm shipping it out because I'm listing it for $1 and it's going to sell. So I've got 70% of my stuff has got 100% sell-through rate in less than 2 weeks. And I've got a pretty good idea of what stuff is going to sell for. So it's just a numbers game. I figure out what money I want to make. Like I sold over the weekend, I think I sold $1,200 worth of stuff.
Wow.
I think it was probably 70-30 auctions, fixed price.
And yeah.
So
that's why I'm glad I had you on here, because I'm just like, all this stuff when it comes to auctions.
And if you're we're doing this to make money. If you're trying to make money and you're gathering inventory, like in the Facebook groups, they say you've got to have X amount of listings up for, to get X amount of sales. And like, not really. You just have to be picky about what you source and have an idea have an exit, idea of how you're going to get rid of it before you even buy it. Because I'm in a 950 square foot apartment, and I've got my son with me, and I've got a lot of storage in my closets, but I don't have the room to have 1,000 listings up. And if you're spending $5 an item and you got 1,000, that's $5,000. If you're not rolling that over, you know what I mean? And if you've got all that money tied up, you can't pay bills. That's what really pushed me into auctions, is like, I got to have freaking money to pay my bills. I can't wait until somebody decides that they really, really want. And I don't try to squeeze every last dime out of my items. If somebody sends me a reasonable offer, even if it's less than what I expected, I just take it. And I think you guys talked about that, about how the algorithm likes to see, they're spending money to put people's eyeballs on our stuff. And if we're declining their offers, they probably send you less traffic.
Yeah.
So I churn and burn.
Yeah, you have to, especially now, man, because they're starting to send out competing offers to the people that you decline it to. They'll send out competing offers to them now. eBay just made a patent for it, where if you decline their offer, they send your offer to other resellers that have the same exact item or a like item to that buyer.
How long has that been going on?
I don't know, but
when did that start?
Bytes. It was in e-commerce Bytes. They filed a patent a couple weeks ago for it.
I know they just set it up where they just started immediate payment if you send an offer and it's accepted. I
got one of those last week. The guy sent me a text and told me, "Hey, I just want to let you know, heads up, they made me immediately buy this." Because I tried sending an invoice and I was like, "Why isn't this working?" So I sent them a message, because I always send a follow-up message saying, "Hey, we require immediate payment. Within 24 hours, we'll cancel it per listing guidelines." And he wrote me back. He said, "No, they made me immediately pay for it." And it was the best offer. So I was like, all right, that's working good. There's a question from Dope before we wrap up and we get to our best sale of the week. Dope says, what percentage of auctions listed at $1 end up selling for less than $10?
I'm not sure about what percentage, but usually if that happens, for me, it's because I missed a hole or I missed a stain, or, when I sourced it. I really don't have a ton of them go for under where I expect them to go. And I think my break even's it has to go to right around $12. Most of my shirts I source for about $5. And if I get to 12, I charge $6.75 as a flat first class rate on shirts, and then it usually
so you're making
costs around $4.20. So I have a little bit of a spread there. Plus, they take fees out of that, so you may as well cover your fees. Yeah. But my break even is at around 10 to 12, but if it goes lower than that, it's usually because I missed a flaw in the item.
That's good to know. Again, that's another tip for everybody to know that, hey, listen, if you have a flaw, you can expect it not to go as good as if it didn't have a flaw, unless it's like a vintage piece that's collectible.
I I found one of those the Polo Ralph Lauren's with the big P,
with the big
and it was
with the cross country, logo. Yep.
It was a crew neck sweater, and I paid $2 for it, and it was covered in bleach stains. And I still got $97 for it. If it hadn't been all bleached out, it was like a $700 or $800 Ronnie Hart Polo Ralph Lauren item.
Yeah. See, you're like me. I'm always dropping Ronnie's name. The dude's a godfather of reselling clothing, definitely. He's the highest person I know that sells his clothes. I mean, he makes an average of like I think $80 a sale. The closest I ever got to him was like 55, and then now that I have to have a lot more inventory, I'm down to like 35 to $40. So that wraps up everything. Let's go over our best sale of the week. Give us a few seconds to pull all those up, and we can do the screen sharing. Who wants to go first? I know Alton wants to go first. He's excited to explain his sale of the week, and I don't blame him.
We were actually chatting about this right before we were in the pre-show, and I got an offer I showed it a couple weeks ago on here showing that this thing was worth anywhere between 120 and 140. Well, I had an offer come in. I figured I already have inventory that, we want to move our inventory. We don't want to sit on it. It might be worth 120, but if someone's willing to pay you X amount, you got to consider those offers. Well, I took everyone's advice and I readjusted my offers and actually lowered the price on it. I went down to 85 and I got an offer for 75 plus shipping. I got $5 into it. So it was a no-brainer. So
I have you pulled up. There you go.
So look at this.
Funko Pop.
Yeah, Funko Pop. I just sold this thing.
And explain to the listeners since they can't see you sometimes.
So it is a Funko Pop from Soul Eater. It is one of the rare. It is vaulted, so they're not making them anymore. So this item typically sells for about 120 to 140. So I'm ecstatic just to get 75 out of it because I got $5 into it because it was in a big lot that I bought for $5 a piece. So that's my big sell for the flip, for the day, for the week, whatever. Because technically it's already paid for. Like I already made the money off of the lot. This was just a few of the pieces that I just chose to keep because of the value. So I don't make my profit margins off of the pieces I keep in case they never sell. But it's nice to see it when they pop through. It's definitely a big profit. So, especially on such a little small item that ships first class.
Very nice.
It's super easy to ship that thing, man.
Absolutely.
You throw that in a box with some bubble wrap, you're good to go. Scott, what about you?
I sold a San Jose Sharks hat. Let me pull up my screen here.
Yeah, pull this camera up off of me.
Oh wait, let me know.
I think nobody wants to see me the whole time.
All right, let me know when you got your screen share ready so I can pop it in.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh, stupid thing. My computer's being dumb. No.
Oh, and we're back to me. Great.
Where'd he go? Oh, he just dipped out. He's like, see ya.
Yeah, I think you clicked the wrong button. So
did I go over I don't think I went over the Andy Irons last week. Did I?
Pull us back to all cam. You're on me.
Oh. Hey, Alton, do you remember which one I did last week for my sale? Or we didn't even do a sale the week last week.
No, we didn't do a sale last week. The one you showed before was your the big sale.
The $800 sale, on the vacuum. I got this one right here. This one's a surprise. And let me see. Where is I don't know. It's been off. Kevin has been off. Yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for Scott to come back in, if he ever comes back in, I'll pop mine up. Let me get the screen. Oh, there he is. There's Scott.
He's in the lobby.
There you go. Did you get fix
it? Sorry, I lost it, but it was a San Jose Sharks vintage hat I showed you guys in the crew. I'll have to show it this time. So sorry about that, guys.
And explain to us what it is, who made it, and how much you bought it for and sold it for the listeners.
Yeah, so I bought it at the Ben's, which is the Goodwill outlet store. Have less than 50 cents in it. It's just a vintage starter Sharks hat. So pretty nice. It was a big tooth
pattern.
Pattern, yeah. I was thinking that word. Pattern vintage hat. So sorry I couldn't show you guys.
No, it's okay.
That's all
I'll
right.
show you mine, and then we'll have Andy do his. So hold on a second. We'll have the guest go last. All right.
Copper State said you were scared to show us your sale, so you ran away.
Exactly.
Probably.
I had Kevin snooping in my store 2 weeks ago, so now I'm scared. So
Right?
Hey, listen, I'm only trying to help you out, bro.
Yep.
All right, so let me know if you guys can see this. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay, so this is it's about 10 years old. It's a Billabong Andy Irons t-shirt. If anybody ever knows anything about surfing, this is why I love immersing myself in stupid subjects. And because if you didn't know much about surfing, then you wouldn't know that Andy Irons is one of the greatest surfers of all time. He's a 3-time champ, and he died about 4 or 5 years ago. But his popularity still he's still very popular in the surfing community. I purchased this for $2 at a Goodwill a few weeks ago, and I had it listed, as you could see, for $144. I didn't sell it for $144. I took a best offer of $75, but I knew I had something better than everybody else's because they didn't have a 3-time champ on it. As you can see here, it says 3-time champ. So what I did was, on the comps, they were comping about any Iron shirts were comping at $20 to $40, right? So I'm like, well, this doesn't have champ on this, and he's a 3-time champ. So I listed it for $144. Someone offered me $75. I took it, just took it because I knew it was already way above the market value. So sometimes I told Alton this the other day, about 14 to 20 items a year I can guess high on. And a lot of times I'll get way over what everybody in that category gets. I don't know how that works. Maybe people just like to buy expensive things. But I'm pretty good at doing that. And as the years go along, I find more items like this. I just guess on them. If they don't move after a few months, I bring it back down. But for this one, I didn't have to. It sold super quick, which I was really surprised about. But that all done with me. Let's see. Do you have yours pulled up, Andy?
I can't get it to pull up. Let me check real quick. I've got a spinning circle.
I have you pulled up,
but
I have. There you go. I see it. So it's spinning.
So yeah. So I was at Plato's Closet last week and look for Levi's vintage clothing. It'll have a little white long tag on the left-hand side as you're holding them facing you. They'll have a big E, like they make them to replicate the older vintage Levi's.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was a Type 3 trucker jacket. It's probably only, I think probably came out in 2018, but they wanted $14 for it, and I was like, that's a no-brainer. Anything Levi's jacket for 14 or 15 or under. And I sold it. I put it up for, I think, $69.95. It was up for 3 days, and somebody either sent me an offer of $50 or I sent them an offer of $50 and they accepted it. But I had a Brooks Brothers Saxon. It was houndstooth with window panes sport coat. Somebody sent me $65 offer on that. But I list stuff fixed price. I push the price up until I almost feel embarrassed, and then list it, and then I'll run markdown sales through my store, and sometimes I only get like 30 or 40% of what I list it for, but the customer thinks they're getting a great deal. I move my inventory. I don't ever lose money on my fixed price stuff. But I'm using. Yeah, I was going to say I'm using the eBay keyword suggestions as I'm sourcing. So I've got a pretty good idea before I even list it that I'm going to sell it pretty quick.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that I sold in a day's time this past week, for $20, $25.
Yeah.
It adds up.
I think with how cotton's up, the material cotton is up 40% from last year because of inflation. I'm only hoping that's going to help our market in eBay. But then I see people, and I know some of these people, that undercut everybody else's prices. And it ruins our market. It's kind of like Amazon's, race to the bottom with the buy box. It's like that. But it's like, dude, you guys understand. We got items that have a material that just went up 40% from last year, and you're selling it for like $9.99 and free shipping. It just never makes sense to me. But with the Blazers, though, it's weird because
Long Tail?
Huh?
The book The Long Tail. Have you read The Long Tail?
No, it's that about.
It talks about long tail keywords, and I think the tagline is how companies make money by selling less of more of less. So a long tail graph goes down and it gets closer and closer to the bottom axis, but it never touches it.
Yep.
And that, like music that Amazon sells or digital books, it might sell once a year, but they don't have any holding costs because it's digital.
Yeah.
So the more long tail things get, it's only going to sell once or twice a year, but the person that buys it is going to pay. They'll pay retail if you charge them retail. But if you're competing on price, you're just giving your stuff away. Even if it's not long tail. If you get good at keyword research and good at titles and have good pictures, you don't have to compete on price. People are going to say, that's really cool, I want that, and they're going to pay. Or they're going to, I very rarely get lowball offers. And if I do, I counter where I'm comfortable. But most of the time I'm accepting the first offer because if you price high, they think, well, he knows the value of his stuff. He's not going to take my lowball. So, yep. Raise your prices until you're almost embarrassed to hit the list button.
Dude, I noticed, I feel like back in the day in 2015 and prior, that was really good. Or it could have been I had a lot of buyers from my YouTube channel, people buying from. That's how I felt. I'm pretty sure I did way before it got popular and people depended on their buyers from YouTube to buy. But I used to price like Hawaiian t-shirts for super expensive, like Rain Spooner, Tory Richard, and I would almost get it every single time, and it wouldn't last that long, and I was weird about it. But now I have a really nice Tory Richard with this embroidered Santa Claus, huge over the back, all over the print in the back, and I have a list for like 120, no action. And I'm like, you can't. Does not make sense, and there's not many out there. There's next to none out there like that with the big Santa Claus in the back. I don't know. There's
the bottom fell out of that.
No,
because the bottom fell out of Tommy Bahama. Bahama silk shirts.
Saturated.
That used to be one of my favorite things to sell, and you can't make any money on them.
No, I've had a Tommy Bahama in my store for 3 years, 2 of them. I lined them up together for a year, took them down, put them up separately, and then within 1 week, they both sold separately. I never get it. I don't understand it. It's like these Garfields, right? So you saw the Garfields that I'm posting that I've been selling in my group I've been posting. I got these stupid little ceramic Garfields from the 80s. And I had no action for about a month and a half, right? And I have 6 of them. Yeah. And over the past week, I sold one. And then 2 days later, I sold another. And then today I sold one. And then one guy wanted one, then he backed out of it. So I'm like, within a matter of a week, there's like 4 of them that almost sold. No rhyme or reason. No clue. I don't know if it's
Do you think maybe somebody shared your listing, like
Matt on maybe.
on Pinterest, or you never know. You never know.
Yeah, it's so weird because left and right people are buying these for $5. I'm almost saying to myself, man, for $5 each, I passed on 10 other ones that were at that estate sale because sometimes there's a lot of something. I pick up half of it or less just to try it out. And usually when I do that, it's always a good score. I did it with these little.
Then you kick yourself for not getting it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember when I sold a bunch of that whole box? There's one of my YouTube videos from like a year ago. It says I made like sold a camera lens for $1,300, right? One lens.
Yep.
I think I made like $4,000 off the whole box. I had like 40 different lenses. Man, he had probably about 200 more. And I wish at that estate sale, because I was the last person in that estate sale and the last person to leave. I just wish I said, listen, I'll give you $200 for the rest of these. I guarantee they would have said yes. I would have probably made at least close to $20,000 on all of them. Hundreds of them. He had hundreds of them. Hundreds. And a lot of them I sold for $300, $400, $500, and I sold that one for $1,300. None of them went less than $80. Not one out of the 40. And a lot of them need work. A lot of them need brand new lenses. A lot of them were dented, but they were all old cinema lenses that people, especially in Japan, they use them. They'll buy them. They'll take the lenses out. They'll put their own lens in, and then they'll use them and make videos, movies. That was really cool to sell. That was probably the funnest haul I had. It surprised me, but
one of my favorites was on Craigslist. Somebody their dad was a union boss, and it was a big freaking cardboard box full of tool lanyards, and they were like $40. So they were all the same brand. There was a unique product identifier that I could get indexed in Google, and everybody was charging like $25. I think I did them for either $9.99 or $12.99 with free shipping, and they were light enough to go first class. And I would sell 4 or 5 of them a day. And I was crying when they were gone. I'm like, I wish I had
Man, but it's so fun to see those, to buy stuff like that and be like, man, I'm very surprised that these went so quick. But again, I want to thank you, Andy, so much for coming on. Thank you, Alton.
Yes,
thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
And again, after this, we're going to have Alton, who does all the editing for us. He's going to be uploading this, our 4th episode of the Reseller Roundtable with our guest here, Andy. And that should be up. When does it come up? Saturday?
Hopefully. Yeah, man, you're just crushing me on the timeline.
Dude, you gotta get going.
No, we're going for a Monday deadline. Right now it's Wednesday. We would have had one up yesterday, but we've had a few exporting issues with Spotify. I don't know if it's my executable or what, but I'm gonna fix that probably first thing tomorrow morning. So it should be uploaded from last week's tomorrow. And then after that, I will get to working on downloading this one, and this one should be out by Monday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And again, if you guys want to subscribe, we're Reseller Roundtable on where is it again? Spotify.
It's on Spotify,
we're almost
right
on
now. And Google Cast.
almost on iTunes.
Yeah,
And we're almost on iTunes. Where else are we at?
we're at Google Cast, which is pretty much so it's on an RSS feed. So any other app that uses the RSS feed that can pull up podcasts will already get it. But officially, we are on Spotify and Google Cast, and I'm working on iTunes as we speak. So
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Awesome. And again, if you guys enjoyed this video, comment, leave a review. If you didn't, whatever. And thank you guys so much for coming on. Andy, thank you for coming on. And we'll see you guys later.
Problem.
Andy,
Don't
don't
It's a
back out,
pleasure.
Andy.
I enjoyed myself.
Andy,
It was fun.
Andy, stay on while I back out of here, okay?
Cool.
All right, guys.